And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in our neighborhood.
I mean, but is it?
It is.
Okay.
I think we watch it every day. I am John D, a.k.a. Too Much, and this is my wife.
I'm Kanika,
a.k.a.
Do.
And we are doing Too Much podcast, where we come together and discuss our day-to-day interactions on becoming the married couple that we would like it to flourish into. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, how was your week?
My week was busy. It was busy and it was expensive.
Why was it so busy and expensive?
So our daughter turned 16 today. And with the start of spring break, we decided to gift her with a trip to Canada to see her best friend. She hasn't seen her in like 4 years. And she moved back. She moved this way from the UAE, and it was like a really great opportunity. But that thing be thinging, that money, boy, they got us a few times. We went to Niagara Falls, and we did some of the attractions there. And when I say they will take your money, and then they will put you through a 3-minute experience. Oh, they got us good. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, we had a great time. Ripley's, that was fun. The selfie studio, that was fun. And then when she sees her friend, like, she didn't understand what was happening. We were expecting like this big old response of, and she was looking like, what is happening? little anticlimactic, but it was fun. But all of that took place in 2 days, and I've been recovering ever since.
Yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yeah.
Didn't realize it happened after we got back.
It sure did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was because I drove. I haven't driven in a long time, and I felt peasant-like having to drive back home.
I'm so blessed that she did drive. I didn't want her to drive the whole way, but she was like, she was fine, but I definitely needed some help because I was tired.
Hey, I remember when I was younger, I used to drive from Atlanta to Michigan straight. No problems whatsoever. Man, that little 4-hour ride, I was like, my age is showing.
So, since this week was busy, did you get time to reflect on the things that didn't go so well this week?
No, you know, I feel like when things don't go well, it just didn't. But there's an opportunity for it to be better. So I just keep the party going. Very seldom do I sit there and like mull over bad things that might have taken place.
Well, I guess I'm not saying it right then. It's
Okay.
It's one of those things where I'm asking, is there anything that you could have done differently to get a different product that you just didn't know? Like, I don't want you to mull over anything, but if you could look back and, like, you know, I guess I could have done that differently. I wish I would have known. Not necessarily wish you would have known, but if I would have known this, I could have responded differently, or I could have gone a different route.
No, I would say this week has been, I have no regrets that I can think of this week on how I've dealt with anything.
Yeah, I was honestly, I've thought about it, and I was like, if she asked me, I don't even know, because I thought this week it went by fairly smooth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I guess, you know, what's crazy is that this is spring break for us, and it's already Tuesday. And, you know, it's almost like I'm not appreciating each day, but I am.
Yeah. You're halfway through.
But, you know, yesterday was probably the most laid back day I've had in some time. Like, we watched a movie, we watched some shows, and I kind of was just like, I was really just hanging around. Even though I got my stuff done, yesterday was kind of like, let's watch this stuff you be watching.
Oh, okay. Because I watch stupid stuff, but it's entertaining.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's stupid. I just think that it has a lot of things that can really disappoint you when you like, being that we're married. This will be our 15th year in June.
Wow.
Yeah. 15. But when we watch married shows or people that want to be married, we can already see why it probably won't work. And and it's I've gotten into it because those of you that don't know, I want to be the greatest husband and father to ever walk the earth. And watching these shows, I can see where I was thinking, why they're thinking that way. If they don't get out of their own way, that this relationship will not work. But I will say this. There's been a lot of times where I was definitely surprised with the level of recovery and the maturity of some of them. Like you would expect them to overreact and they would say, accept accountability and like, I know that I can. And I'm like, wow, they're so much more mature than I. It took me well into my 40s to be able to be like, that was dope. But yeah, I don't know. My wife definitely enjoys these shows.
I do. It's like I don't know, the idea of marrying people you don't know, or you date them for 2 weeks and then you decide if you want to be married. I think it's just insane to me. And because I've seen people, there are people who met and they get married and they have long, fruitful marriages. It just fascinates me when people are able to do that though. And sometimes you watch the shows and you be like, they are not going to make it. But then they come back for the reunion and like they're mellowed out and everything looks like it's going really well. I think the other thing is everybody seems crazy because there's cameras around them all the time.
Yeah.
Once the cameras leave and they're able to kind of settle into who they really are, then the real stuff starts really working. But I get fascinated by that stuff because I'm just like, how do you make such a big decision under such a short, term?
I think I've looked at the pros and cons of it, and I think that if you are mature enough that you can appreciate that process, and when I say that process, when you are meeting somebody in public or through a mutual friend, they're hoping or you're hoping that y'all have enough in common for y'all to even go forward for day 2. Now, when you participate in this, you already know that you guys have a lot more in common than the chance of you bumping into somebody. So to me, I feel like if you're mature enough, you can appreciate that these people want you to be successful. And if they want you to be successful, you have to like kind of figure out what you can and can't deal with through the process versus not making it work because you're not attracted to them or they don't do something you don't like immediately.
Yeah. It's something else.
So what is your biggest gripe about getting in a relationship with somebody you don't know? What are you afraid of?
I think even like the stuff that we've talked about before, I think that even with experts who are trying to dig through your life, they can't possibly know every little thing that makes you tick, things within your family, things you've dealt with or experienced, and how that's going to play out later.
But isn't that up to you to be able to reveal those things so that they can use the information you give them?
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so we've been married almost 15 years, but we've known each other over 20 years. And so the idea that there were still things I was learning about you last year, like, come on, player. Like the idea of there were things that I feel like when they go through these shows and the experts are looking, if let's say we're a city, I feel like the experts are only exploring maybe to a 8-block radius. However, there's so much more beyond that really make up who this person is. And some of it can be very damaging. Some stuff they're not revealing on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
So, but what makes you think you can find that out in your dating?
Right.
Because you definitely just found stuff out, like you said, a year ago with me.
Well, and that's why I'm saying I just couldn't, like, knowing what I know now, you couldn't put me in a room with somebody and say, Kanika, we think this person is really going to work for you. So try this experiment. I just can't, because there's so many questions and things, like even with you and I now, if we were to do it over again with me understanding what I do now about the complexities of people's lives and how it ends up impacting you, there would have been far more conversation going on, like, that we're really deep diving into things.
But that's because where we are now.
I know, that's what I said, if I went back. But I mean, even at the beginning of the podcast when we used to talk and we would say, what are some of the questions that you wish you would have asked? Mm-hmm. Like, now when I'm looking at it and I'm seeing these people and I'm looking at it like, I'm seeing some people and I'm like, okay, that's a mental illness. Okay, that they're undiagnosed right there. You know what I'm saying? And when they describe their family dynamics, sometimes it's like there are things in there that they're going to have to dig out. And are they mature enough to do that? Like the one couple, there was a guy who he was raised by his mother and she was a stripper. And there were things that he had to deal with because of that. Mm-hmm. Then he decides to marry this little 25-year-old who's really, really like immature. And it's like she wasn't even able to, like, she couldn't even get past the looks, first of all. But even so, I don't think she had the mentality to be able to understand his background and how it was going to impact her relationship.
She wasn't supposed to. She's 25.
I know. And that was the other thing, just like the last show we watched when it was like a 10-year difference between a couple. And it's like, I would bet on myself. I would be more comfortable betting on myself. I could not have done one of these experiments. But I think that people are brave and I
think you're looking at it in a way. I don't think they're looking at, like, everybody from what I've gathered, it's just like, I hope this works. It's not like this is the last chance. So if you look at, like, you're looking at it as they're brave, why? You're looking at it as they're not very good at what they do, and they're hoping that these experts can put them in an opportunity to be successful in a relationship.
Oh, real.
And I will say this, relationships, no matter how it's put together, it's going to take some work. And even if the experts knew you said 8-block radius, even if they knew 50, it doesn't matter. There's going to be a part where they're going to have to deal with each other without experts.
Heck yeah.
And that's what I think people fail to realize. No matter how long you've known each other or how often y'all get along or whatnot, there's a part of a relationship that has a conflict where, depending on how you deal with conflict, it could be very difficult in getting over that part of the relationship. Like, my wife and I have different values prior to us getting in here, but we had to discuss certain things, because when I can reflect back where she may have said something like, oh, we're not doing that. Because in my head, the way that I looked at it is the only way we should do it, because I went through it. And that can cause conflict in a household if there's no negotiation, and my wife was really passive when it came to certain things, unless she was adamant about. But overall, she kind of just let me lead. And looking back, that could have caused a lot of conflict if she was a lot more headstrong in her decision making. And looking back, if I was a more open communicator, we probably wouldn't have had as many hiccups. But I just knew everything. I was just out here manning.
Look, wasn't you though?
I was just being a man.
All here in 1950 and
Golly.
on me. Yeah, it was a mess.
It wasn't a mess.
It was a mess because we were kids just trying to play roles.
Yeah, well, yes, we were playing the roles that we thought. Well, I was playing the role that I thought I was supposed to play. And when you don't have any examples of a more polished, like the person that I become today, there was no man that reflected that to me. And if it did, it wasn't something, it didn't look like it was feasible. And the men that I associated with, to me, I felt like it was easier to be in that way. Even though we had different things in common, I can see me associating with men because of how we view life. But like now I'm looking back, I'm like, that's a horrible way to lead a family by watching what your environment does. Because 9 times out of 10, your environment is just watching the environment. And that's what I was doing. And now I feel like you help me make better decisions. You know, like if we discuss things, like I already know that we're going to see them differently, but at least I can see it from a way, and I feel like I can make better decisions by at least being able to see it from a different perspective. You give me that.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I wish I could have got this a long time ago, but
me too, trust me.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. But I will say it's been wonderful, like getting to this point. I ain't gonna lie, like the first 40 years I look at like it was just ignorance, and then the last 5 years I look like I just grew up really quick in like, oh, like, you know, Kaiser Sose, Usual Suspects, at the end when he walks out and then the detective just looks around and notices everything was right in. Yeah. So like this last 5 years was like I'm so grateful of being able to see the signs and still be able to, like, the story's still there. Because sometimes the story will be gone and you seeing signs and it's too late. So yeah, you've helped me grow in ways that I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to express it or if I have enough time on earth to be able to put them in words for you to know. But I'll tell you this, I'm gonna work on it for the rest of my life, so you know how appreciative I am to become the man that I'm becoming. Like, and I'll say this, I don't know if you know, but most men don't know what this is that I'm talking about. Because more men would talk about it. Because I know what men talk about. It's on TV.
Okay.
You know, and where I am, and I see how our family is, I think that if people knew they could get to this point, they would work on it more. But I mean, just think about it. What examples have you had or seen and be like, just like we talked about the Cosby Show one time, like, how did they get there? You know what I'm saying? We was like the kids would come home from a long day and it's like, what's wrong? And it was like, well, this such and such happened, and you know, hey, let's talk about it. Like how did y'all get there? Like our kids, we got to beat them up. Like, but now it's a lot better. You know, they'll come. But before there was nothing. You know, or at least to me, they would.
Yeah, they've learned to be a lot more open. Yeah. Do you feel like, was there anybody when you were growing up an adult where you would have confided in them?
No. Not one.
Me either.
Yeah, no, not one. I don't like even my best friends, like I can tell you what I wouldn't have told them. So like I never had any of that. But, you know, when I do talk, I remember like as I got older and I used to share things, people were like, man, you talk too much. Because I used to, I didn't think that was bad information. I felt like that was important information for you to know my heart. Like if you know that this is where I come from or this is how I look at this, you like, well, even though you do this, you're really not even that bad. Like, why would you, like, I can't understand it, but he did share some personal information with me and I feel like he was telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I just confided in the public.
You sure did. Good. Can y'all even imagine? This dude used to tell everybody every possible thing. And I would just be looking like, I mean, and my stuff included. I want that to be clear. And I'll just be like, why do you say everything? Why do you tell everything? And some people are talking about how, you know, you never learn, you never grow if you're not willing to share. And culturally, in at least in the Black households, I know, it's like, keep it to yourself. Whatever's going on in the house, keep it in the house. Like, don't be telling everybody all of our business and stuff. So it's kind of like, I don't even know how you ended up being Mr. I'm gonna share everything.
Because I wasn't really culturally Black.
Yeah.
So like, I never, like the people I talked to would never get back to my father unless I got in trouble. So he didn't know how I was communicating or whatnot. So as I got older, I just felt like I got more out of it by being honest. Like, yeah, that's absolutely it. Like, me being honest about situations that I think people should know about, I think people looked at me differently. They treated me differently. And I like a lot of the things that people don't want to share, I think they feel like people will use it against them. And I was like,
oh,
wow.
yeah, definitely.
So where did you get that from? Like, I don't know anybody says, you know what, I can't wait till they give me something so I can use it against them.
I know. And then it's like, how close or how do you know, how secure are you in that relationship where you feel like they would do that to you? But I mean, I'm not going to act like I hadn't seen it done before. You tell somebody something and all of a sudden it comes out the other end.
Oh, no, but I'm saying the way that it came out, it wasn't like you thought it came out, though. It wasn't like somebody says, you know what, I'm going to get this person. It was like they just couldn't hold water. Like, it was like you, first of all, it was probably your fault because you gave this person too much trust and you thought this person wasn't capable. The thing is that person never knew that was that important to you for them to be able to have to hold it like this. Because I don't know anybody's like, yes, I can't wait for this person to hate me after this.
No, I don't think anybody says that. But I think that, you know, when you fall out, it's a part of the arsenal. And it does say something about, like, I could never imagine falling out with some of my friends, knowing how we are. I couldn't see it. But if I did, they have everything in a whole entire world to use against me. And sometimes I don't even think it's like use against me, like broadcast it anywhere. I think of it more as
looser lips.
No, it's just a different judgment on me now.
Oh.
Because we're not who we used to be. And so, you know, now when you look at me, are you going to look at those things that I confided in you about and be like, you know what, and that's why she's like this, or that's why that. And that I think is something that I have always been guarded about. Like, you ain't going to get nothing on me.
Well, I guess that's insecurity, though.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, you know, how much of it is insecurity? How much of it is like I'm very I always think ahead and I'm trying to figure out how people can get me. It's like paranoia. But I'm always trying to keep myself as protected as possible. I want to be free. I want to be able to share things with my family and my friends. But I know that there's a possible fallout that I'm not seeing because we're in this great place.
Yeah, so listening to you, I think I may have felt that way at one time, but I think that's the reason why I was so vulnerable about things that I've gone through, because I felt like nobody could use anything against me, especially now. Like, before, there was just the smallest of things, but I never was worried about it with an exception of a couple of times. But overall, now I feel like if you in my closet and you judging me, you must find some similarities or something, because there's no way anybody should be judging anybody from their experience. Mm-hmm. So to me, where I am, like, yeah, that's one thing that I can honestly say. Like, if somebody said anything to try to hurt me, mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out what I did for them to want to hurt me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, was this on purpose? Because I feel like everything's not ever what it seems. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we always find the worst way to look at something.
Oh, that's definite.
That's what I'm saying. But when you get enough information, you be like, I can see why they did that. You know, I hated that I felt like that, but I understand. And I think that comes from the lack of communication and the insecurity of the person that took it as seriously as they did. So you with your friends now that you have, like, are those things that you like consider? And if it is it like, what is it like from childhood? I'm trying to figure out what could something.
You know, now in my big age, I just feel like the people that are closest to me and I confide in, I'm far more secure in those relationships, and there's definitely reciprocity as far as sharing and supporting one another. And so I don't fear like I did as a young person, because as a young person, we're all trying to figure ourselves out. And it's always like, you know, we were reactive to everything and, oh, I don't like her anymore. Or did you see da 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 da? It's not like that anymore, because like we're grown-ups and we have stuff to do. And, you know, and we're all raising kids. We're all in these weird places in our lives where we're trying to figure it out, and we're asking one another, whoever has dealt with this, dealt with that, please help me. And it feels far more like a support group. You know, like, yeah. I don't think I saw my friends as my support group when I was younger. That wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for people to have a good time with and laugh and da-da-da. And I do that with my friends now. But it's far more like literally holding one another up. And it feels safer. And so it feels really good. There's no superficial feeling in it. And any of the women that I love right now who are my friends, and more so my family to me, I couldn't see any of them. First of all, I couldn't see us falling out over anything, because our lives are not tangled up like that. But even if something happened where we didn't deal with each other anymore, I still feel like they would protect me, and I would do the same. Mm-hmm. And so,
are there friends that you wouldn't protect?
No, I mean, I wouldn't throw anybody under a bus. But what I'm saying is there are some, you know, there are levels to your friendships. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that I confide in, I don't fear.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Before, it would be like, you know, you'd have a friend and y'all fall out, and then it's like, go for what you know. Anything could come out. And I have far more complex things that have gone on that I've confided into these friends about, that I don't fear. I think because of the maturity we have and the understanding we have, that you just don't, as younger people, you don't understand that these people's lives, and, you know, these are things that really weigh on them. I don't think you understand the weight of a lot of things that your friends are confiding in you when you're younger, as you do when you're older, and you're able to look back over your life and be like, you know, that it's just different now. And the reason why I asked you, do you remember having anyone you could confide in as a kid? I hate that I'm just now figuring this part out. I hate that I'm just now having these relationships I'm very, very secure in. Because when I was younger, if I felt like there were adults that were like they held me up, like they made sure that I wasn't going to fall, I could trust them. I could say what I needed to say, and I could be honest so that they could give me real information. I didn't have to like censor it, because what if you tell my mama? Or, you know, I don't want you judging me. I think that when we talk to the kids, we're always trying to make it clear, like, we went through this too. And sometimes I tell them in detail some of the things that I've gone through and what I was thinking. And some parents may not agree with some of the things I discuss with the kids, but I can't care, because they're not my kids, right? I can talk to my kids however I want, but a lot of the times I divulge information today in Dallas because I want them to understand, like, oh, she was thinking like me.
Yeah.
That sounds like how we would process that. Or, dang, like you really went through some stuff. Like that ain't nothing compared to, you know, what I'm doing is nothing compared to what. So if you're willing to give me that, if you're willing to offer that information to me, then I should be free to offer that information back to you. I should feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any safe people. And it wasn't that they didn't want to be safe people. They just didn't know how. They thought they were supposed to be the grown-ups and y'all were the kids and, you know, the stuff you going through ain't nothing. And let me just minimize it real quick so you can feel like it ain't nothing and move on. And I don't know. I just love the support I have now. I wish I would have had it then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff I did, I wouldn't have done. Possibly. Because you know kids are going to do.
Yeah, I just think, no, I don't believe that either. Like people say kids are going to do what kids going to do. That's incorrect because I know kids that'll play with guns and I know kids that won't.
Yeah, that's true.
So to me, I feel like if you can explain why something is dangerous or why it's not in the kid's best interest in their way, they're not going to say, I'm going to do this anyway. Most of the time it's going to be from the lack of information. So like when you were talking about, like, did you have anybody to confide in? Of course not. I don't think our generation or the people that we knew, parents knew how to be parents. And when I say that, I'm talking about the mindset of the way we look at it now. Like if we could build a relationship with our kids where they would want to confide in us versus their friend group, because that's where most of their bad decisions come from, is their friend group. And I was just talking about recently how if you can't confide in your parents because you're afraid of what they're going to say, judgment, or if your parents aren't there, they're not even there, you get your information from your peer group.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most ignorant information you could possibly get other than asking your little brother.
Everybody is shooting in the dark.
Hey, little brother, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? I ain't never heard of that word before.
Sounds like a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so then let me ask you, other than Day in Dallas, are you that support person for anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, as a teacher, it's easy to become that when you create those relationships. Well, I've seen how students have used me for that, but I didn't take it nearly as seriously as I've taken it this past semester, because I realized the impact that how my words could be or how I respond to them going forward. Because if they can't feel comfortable and they coming to me, they may not have another adult.
Yeah.
You know, and if they don't have another adult, we know they're getting their information from their friend group.
Getting it from the dun-dun-duns.
I know that.
Yeah, they don't know anything. Well, yeah, I guess when I look around, I would like to be that person. I would like for kids to be able to look at me and say, she's a safe person. But I don't really know if I have any relationships with any kids outside of Day in Dallas who...
It's difficult to do that unless you interact.
Yeah,
unless you interact with a kid on a regular basis, they wouldn't know how to create their relationship with you. So it's more so the fostering from the adult.
Yeah.
Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
No.
Well, I want everybody to have a wonderful day. I really do appreciate you guys checking in with us. Again, we'll be turning 15 in June. It's a couple more months from, a little more than a couple of months. But this journey with my wife has been, it's been rocky, but the last few years have shown me the potential of what it's going to develop into. And I'm really excited because she is the reason for the season.
Oh, yes, I am. Come on, Kirk Franklin.
Make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA, get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.